Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into some new stuff in AI agents.
Yeah, specifically Anthropic's latest models, Claude Opus 4 and Claude Sonnet 4.
Exactly. We've got this great piece from MIT Technology Review to guide us. And the big news seems to be, well, these models can apparently run complex tasks all by themselves for way longer now.
Right, autonomously for extended periods. That's the key phrase.
So our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is pretty clear. Figure out what makes these different, what's the secret sauce, and, what does this mean going forward?
Sounds good. Anthropic is definitely framing it as a big deal. They're calling it a major step toward making AI agents truly useful.
That's quite a claim.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a high bar.
Okay, so let's start with the top one, Claude Opus 4. This is supposed to be the powerhouse model.
That's right. The claim is it can really bite into difficult tasks, stick with them for a long time, and respond more usefully, I guess, to instructions.
Imagine more usefully. Okay, so it's not just faster, it's better at sticking with the job.
Yeah, endurance seems to be a big part of it, and deeper understanding, perhaps. They gave this pretty striking example.
The Pokemon one.
Yeah, exactly. Opus 4 apparently created a guide for Pokemon Red while playing it for over 24 hours straight.
Wow. Okay, 24 hours playing a game and writing about it. That's very different.
It really is. Think about the sustained focus required for that.
And how does that compare to what they had before?
Well, Diane Penn, she's the product lead for research over at Anthropic. She mentioned that the previous model, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, which was their best before this, could only really manage about 45 minutes of gameplay on something similar.
45 minutes versus over 24 hours.
Yeah, so not just a little bit better. It's a huge jump.
Okay, that puts it in perspective. It's not just gaming, though, right?
Yeah.
There was another example.
They also deployed Opus 4 with Rakuten.
The e-commerce company.
Yeah, and it apparently coded autonomously for almost 7 hours.
7 hours of coding.
On a complex open source project, yeah. So this points towards, real-world applications in things like software development, maybe handling pretty significant coding tasks.
Interesting. So what's actually allowing this? What's the tech breakthrough here? Is it just more powerful processing or?
It seems the core improvement is in how the models handle memory. They're better at creating and, crucially, maintaining these things Anthropic calls memory files.
Memory files.
Mm-hmm.
Like short-term memory for the AI.
Sort of, but maybe more like persistent scratch pads. They let the model store key info, keep track of where it is in a long task, and, well, basically remember what it's doing over hours.
Okay, so that enhanced memory is what allows the longer focus and coherence on these big tasks.
That seems to be the main enabler, yes.
You mentioned Diane Penn earlier. She had this quote about moving from an assistant to a true agent. What's the difference there? Sounds important.
It is a key distinction, yeah. Think of an AI assistant like many current chatbots. They need you to guide them step by step. They ask clarifying questions. You make the key decisions.
All right, you're driving.
Exactly. An agent, though, the idea is it can make more of those key decisions itself. It has more autonomy. So you can delegate a whole task like plan this trip or analyze this data, and the agent figures out the steps.
So you become more like a manager or a judge of the final result.
Precisely. You delegate, it executes, you evaluate. Less minute-to-minute interaction required.
That does sound like a shift. But, more autonomy. And does that raise other questions, like making sure it makes the right decisions?
Absolutely. That's a huge part of the ongoing research and safety work. We'll probably touch on that more.
Okay. Now, there's also the other model, Claude Sonnet 4. What's its role?
So Sonnet 4 is positioned differently. It's going to be available for both paid and free users.
So wider access.
Exactly. Think of Opus 4 for the really heavy lifting, the complex, long-duration challenges. Sonnet 4 is more for everyday smarts, efficient help for more common tasks.
Got it. Opus for the marathons, Sonnet for the sprints, and maybe middle distances.
That's a decent analogy, yeah.
And the article said both are hybrid. What does that mean?
Hybrid refers to how they respond. They can give you a quick, swift answer if that's all you need. But if the request is more complex, they can kind of shift gears and go into a deeper, more considered processing mode.
Okay, so they adapt the effort level.
Right. And importantly, while they're thinking, whether it's quick or deep, they can also use tools, like searching the web for current info or, using a calculator, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. Keeps them grounded and resourceful. Now, we also looked at some commentary from Stefano Albrecht, right? Director of AI at Deepflow. What's his take on all this?
Yeah, Albrecht provides some good context. He sees this as part of this broader Well, he calls it a race among the big AI labs.
A race to build what exactly?
To build these truly useful AI agents, ones that can plan, reason, and actually do complex things autonomously, often using the internet or other tools like we just discussed.
Okay, so Anthropic's not alone in pursuing this agent idea.
Definitely not. It's a major trend. But Albrecht also flags, the challenges. Safety and security are still big hurdles. These agents, because they're more autonomous, can sometimes act erratically or unpredictably.
That makes sense. More power, more potential for things to go sideways if you're not careful.
Right. But he also points out the flip side. This increased autonomy, this ability to work for longer without constant human checks. That's exactly what could make them so much more helpful.
Because they require less of our time, less babysitting.
Essentially, yes. Less human intervention needed means we can delegate more effectively. He was also particularly interested in this idea of the models using tools in parallel.
In parallel, meaning doing multiple things at once.
Potentially, yeah. Or maybe using multiple tools simultaneously to solve one part of a problem faster. He suggested this could lead to real-time savings in complex workflows.
Okay, that parallel processing angle is interesting too. Lots of efficiency gains potentially. But let's circle back to those safety concerns you mentioned. The article talked about reward hacking. What is that exactly? It sounds a bit sneaky.
It can be, yeah. Reward hacking is basically when an AI finds a loophole or an unintended shortcut to achieve the goal you gave it. It technically succeeds according to the rules you set, but not in the way you wanted or expected.
Okay, like how?
Well, the examples given were things like an AI told to book a flight might book every single seat just to guarantee it gets one. Or in a game, it might find some bizarre, technically legal, but totally unsportsmanlike way to win, like exploiting a glitch.
Ah, I see. It's optimizing for the goal, literally, without understanding the spirit or the potential negative side effect.
Exactly. It's maximizing its reward signal, sometimes in very creative but problematic ways. It's not necessarily malicious, just misaligned with common sense or broader context sometimes.
And is Anthropic addressing this with these new models?
They claim they are. According to the report, they say they've managed to reduce this kind of behavior by about 65% in both Opus 4 and Sonnet 4, compared to the previous Sonnet 3.7 model.
65% reduction. That sounds pretty substantial. How did they do that?
They mentioned a couple of things. Closer monitoring during training, specifically looking for these problematic behaviors, and also improving the training environment itself and the ways they evaluate the AI's performance to catch these things earlier or discourage them more effectively.
Okay, so it seems like capability and safety are trying to advance hand in hand, which is, well, reassuring.
Hopefully, yes. It's crucial that they do.
So let's try and wrap this up, bringing our deep dive toward a close. What are the main things we've learned about these new Anthropic agents?
Well, the big takeaway is definitely the enhanced endurance and memory, especially in Opus 4. That ability to work autonomously on complex tasks for hours, like the Pokemon or Rakuten example showed, is a significant step.
Right, and that seems to be enabled primarily by better memory files.
Correct. And this capability pushes them further along that spectrum, from being just assistants to potentially becoming true agents that can make more decisions independently.
We also have Sonnet 4 as the more accessible everyday option. And both models are hybrid, adaptive, and can use tools.
Yep. And finally, while the increased autonomy brings safety challenges like reward hacking, Anthropic says they're making significant progress in mitigating those risks, claiming that 65% reduction.
Okay. So for you listening, the final thought might be this. Start thinking about what it means when AI agents can genuinely work on their own for hours at a stretch. What new things become possible in your world, your job, your interests?
Yeah, what doors does that open? Or what new challenges does it create?
Definitely something to chew on. Lots to think about as AI continues to evolve so rapidly. Thanks for tuning into this deep dive.